this up. Brian, it's all yours. You can share screen, talk about what you want to get into today. As guys come on, please ask your questions or give us a little bit of a status report of where you kind of stand and where you'd like to see this thing go, and we'll try to accommodate it. All right, guys. Brian, take it away.
Okay, so, sorry, Gary. Are you going to, oh, there we go, share screen. All right.
You can share screen.
Let's go. There we go. I didn't know if you were kicking it to me or I was you or what. Okay, here we go.
Yep, we see it.
All right, there we go. Okay, so thank you very much for the very nice introduction, Gary. Much appreciated. And thanks everyone for joining us. So yeah, so here's my contact information. If you can just take a screenshot or take a picture of it, whatever, please feel free to reach out to me anytime you need help with designing systems, specifications, kind of knowing which products do what. I mean, we have a wide variety of products in this category, more than anybody else really. So there's a lot of stuff that we can do and make it so that you don't have to sort of over or under buy the system. You get the customer exactly what they need, but maybe there's some questions on which products you need for specific applications. So if you have any of the system design questions, anything of that nature, just general questions about our products, please feel free to reach out, contact me. If it's more of a technical nature, maybe your own side or something of that nature, please don't hesitate. Reach out to our support team. They're awesome. They will help you through anything. They will spend as much or as little time with you, whether it's your first install with our products or your 101st. It doesn't matter. They're awesome. They really, really are. I'm so happy to have them on my team, and you will be too if you ever need them. So their number is there as well, so please don't hesitate to reach out. So basic agenda today, we're kind of just a sort of a compact course, so there's a lot we want to cover. So I'm going to talk really fast probably. But it is recorded, and we will do Q&A at the end, as Gary mentioned. So, but the basics of it are a little bit about us. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, but just a general background on what we are and what we're about and kind of how we came into this product category. And then we'll go through the 3 different types of video walls that we can handle all these different types. Not everybody can, some can't. So the standard video walls, Mosaic video walls, warp video walls. Go through some different wiring options because we do have some flexibility there as well based on kind of how it's pre-wired. We can give you some different options there as well. Talk about video tiling, kind of the reverse of the video wall, video tiling. We've got that support as well. And then briefly touch on drivers and then end up with some support initiatives and things we can help with that way. So without further ado, a little bit about us. So we've been doing this longer than anybody else. I know there's a lot of kind of players in this game now. We started doing video over IP 28 years ago, and we started it for the government and school type application, sending VGA video back at that early stage. The company was founded by ex-IBM and Cisco engineers. We have certified Cisco engineers on our support team as well. We're really an IT company at our core, at our heart. We do one thing, we do it really, really well, and that's distribute video and audio through a network. So all the products are built in the USA, product assembly, product development, hardware development, software development, support, all that stuff is in the United States. It's in Florida, as a matter of fact, so I'll go over that at the end. You're welcome to visit us at our headquarters and have hands-on training with us. We do that on a monthly basis as well. But bottom line is we've been doing it for a very long time. We call it HDIP. We're basically using standard network protocols to distribute audio and video signals. So if you got standard network connections, standard network cabling, all that kind of stuff, we'll be able to get your audio and video path there. Kind of where we really took off, though, is in 2008 when HDMI, we started introducing HDMI into the equation. So our first gen of HDMI switching is 2008. Again, others are just sort of getting into it. We've been doing it for a very long time. 2010 is our second gen product. We added a bunch of new features, some new hardware, some new firmware updates, that kind of thing. And then what we're at today is 2015 and above, which is our third gen of product. So one of the cool things about our product, though, is that we want to make it not only built to last a long time, so it's commercial grade, very high quality parts and chipsets and boards and all that kind of thing, but also very long term as far as upgradability. So for instance, had you put our second generation product in for your customer back in 2008, back way before HDCP 2.2 and 4K and all HDR and all the kind of stuff we have today, and that customer reached back out to you today and said, hey, I am ready for 4K, I am ready for HDR, I am ready for some new content, that sort of thing. In our world, you can upgrade them only where they need the upgrade. So maybe a couple new transmitters for new 4K sources, a couple new receivers for some new 4K TVs, without having to replace the whole system. So they don't have to kind of throw everything out and start all over again like you would have to do had you put a matrix switch in, let's say, back in 2008 when you want to upgrade. So we fully expect that to be the case going forward as well as we get into our 4th gen and maybe it's 8K matures and whatever. making products that make it so that you don't have to abandon the whole system to start all over again. So the old way of doing it, of course, is, matrix switching, fixed in type of connectivity, fixed in your form factor, hard to upgrade, maybe some software upgrades here and there, but really from a connectivity standpoint, no real way to do that. And when you need to add more, inputs and outputs, you got to upgrade the switch to a much larger switch and that sort of thing. In our world, that's not the case. We can upgrade as necessary, new transmitter for every source, new receiver for every display device, and just kind of go as you need to, both in the number of devices, but also in the type of connectivity. So if they want to add in, VGA later on down the road, or SDI, or TVI, or Dante, or something like that, we have the devices to do that without abandoning the system and starting all over again. And the other big problem with this sort of, go to market strategy with matrix switches is if you've got a problem somewhere in the system and you've got, let's say, a connection has a failure on it, the whole matrix switch has to either get pulled out and sent into service and the whole system goes down while that's getting replaced, or it's got to get pulled out and replaced immediately. But the bottom line is the whole system has to go down when you've got to replace, when there's a problem somewhere in the hardware structure of it. In our world, if one of our transmitters or one of our receivers goes down, you lose that source or that display, everything else still works. So we want to make it very easy if there is a problem, we want to take care of it very quickly. And as a matter of fact, if we do have a problem, we'll overnight your replacement unit that's pre-programmed, plug and play. So there's really minimal downtime if there happens to be a hardware problem in our world. So, and the other part of this is we are very expandable, as I mentioned before. So if we need to add more transmitters, more receivers, we're only bound by the size of the network or the network infrastructure. So whether it's a single switch and you run out of ports on that switch, or multiple switches that you want to stack together with a 10 gig fiber connection between them, we can keep growing and growing either within one building, multiple floors maybe of a building, or multiple buildings. You've got a main, corporate campus, so you've got a main building and sub-building, all that, or even in a residential environment, a main residence, a guest residence, a pool house, whatever. If they're connected with fiber, we can send anything anywhere just by using simple, fiber and network connections. And unlike HT-based we're not, we don't have to have special shielded cable, things like that. Cat5e and higher is all we need. We work on single gig, backplane with that. We will work through couplers and patch panels, things that maybe you want to put in to make the job nice and neat and make the wiring easy to manage and all that. Putting in a patch panel maybe in the rack or something like that to make it easy to make connections. All that is in play with our product, so it makes it very easy to manage, troubleshoot, wire management, all that kind of thing as well. And if we need to go further, we can use fiber between our devices, between a transmitter and a receiver, or fiber between switches to really keep expanding and growing and growing. So two ways that we do that. The way we've traditionally done it and the way we sort of started when we started this game was with VLAN switching. VLAN switching is, if you're not a network engineer, don't know really that much about networks or whatever, that's fine. We take care of all that for you. But basically, the differences are that VLAN is the cleanest way to do things. So with VLAN switching, the only traffic that's on any particular network port is our traffic. So we're never going to interfere with a point-of-sale system or a Wi-Fi or anything like that. So the other ports that we're not programmed with or we're not connected to with our VLANs, you can do whatever you want to with those. So if you've got extra ports on the switch, use them for whatever you want to. You can do that, and we're not going to slow down any of that traffic or anything like that. It takes very, very little resources from the switch when we do VLAN switching. So everything happens instantaneously. When you press, go from cable box to Apple TV, it's less than a half of a frame the amount of time it takes to switch from that, from source to source. So we call it instant switching. And really, if you had let's say two cable boxes on the same channel and you were switching between them, you would not see the switch. That's how fast it happens. So when we go to multicast switching, we also support that, and we have software to set up in either case. Either VLAN switching will set up with software when you're using a Luxel or Cisco switch, and multicast switching will set up with whatever switch you want. But VLAN is going to be your better way if you can do it. But multicast is really there if you don't have full control of the network and you can't maybe specify what's going in as far as network infrastructure. Maybe you're going in and there's already an IT team that has their preferred XYZ switch or whatever. We can make it work in multicast world. The big downsides to multicast are speed. So everything gets slowed down based on how much traffic is on the network. So the more devices that you plug in, the more things that are happening with the switch in general, not with just the video switching, but with other things happening like a point-of-sale system or whatever, all that can slow down the network traffic so that instead of instant switching, it might take 1, 2, 5, 6 seconds that you're going to lose video when you go from one source to the next source in multicast world. Also, typically in multicast switching, you have to have what's called a controller on the network. So a controller is another network appliance that stays on the job site, a fixed cost that goes into, additional cost that goes into every job. And that's kind of how things are controlled, that's how things are switched through the controller. The big downside to that obviously are additional costs, additional network ports, that's one fewer transmitter or receiver that I can plug in and use for for our devices. And then thirdly, it's a single failure point. So if the controller goes out, you lose all of your audio and your video switching. In our world, we don't need the controller, and we still, we can work just without it, so it's not that additional cost or anything like that. So just keep that in mind. The other things about with multicast switching is it can be a little more tricky with setting up the control system depending on how they've been set up or whatever. But just know that we'll work in either case. So kind of to finish all that up about us, from 2015 to 2020, we've stayed in 3G, but we haven't sort of sat on our hands and done nothing with it. So we've gone, added new connectivity, added new firmware, added new capabilities, added new 4K and HDR, and those kind of things. Since we control our own destiny, we don't farm everything out in some factory in China or something like that. It's built in-house, so if we need to make a change, we can make it not only quickly, but we can do things and we can rapidly add features and things like that. So we've certainly done that as well. So we call it virtually limitless HDMI distribution. So enough of that. The main meat and potatoes of today is video walls and kind of how we can do different things with those. So we'll start with the most basic, with what I call standard video walls. So with standard video walls, you'll see here in the video an example of instant switching. So we're going to start and we're going to switch those outer TVs to different sources. And you'll see when that happens, there's no lag, there's no blue screen, there's no snow, there's nothing like that. So that's just kind of an example of, in a video wall mode, you can see instant switching. And of course, in a non-video wall, you see the same thing, but it's really easy to see in video walls. So we can certainly do that. We can also do different types of video walls. So we're not sort of pigeoned into, you got to do a 2x2 or 3x3 or something like that. In our world, you can do whatever size video wall you want. It could be a 1x12, a 9x16, a 4x6, whatever you want to do. We can go, once you've got that basic framework of how you want to do it, let's say in this case it's a 3x3, we can come in and out of different video wall modes on the fly. So we can go from full, all one image on the wall like you see in the bottom image there, or instantaneously with a flip of a button from the control system, go to a 2x2 in the bottom corner surrounded by individual TVs around. So all that happens instantaneously. Very easy to do that as well. We can go into our, this is a little example of our web interface. When you go into that, you can adjust for bezels and gaps and things like that that make everything so it looks nice and neat and clean and looks seamless to the end user. There are two ways that we treat the bezels. So there's, and this can be done on the fly based on the source. So one would be that we go behind the bezel. So I guess that's option 2 as shown here. So this is more useful for like when you're watching video specific content. So let's say a Blu-ray or an Apple TV or a cable box or something like that. You want that video to kind of go behind those bezels so that it looks like you're looking through a window, and have the window pane sort of in the way. So it looks natural, let's just say. The other way to do it would be to jump that bezel, and you use this when you're doing things like a computer, a PC, something more graphical in nature that you don't want to cut text off. So, so when you go to, let's say, your PC source for presentation, we can jump the bezel. And when you go to your Blu-ray, we can go behind the bezel. So that's all on-the-fly switching based on the control system telling us to go in those different modes. So 2 ways to do it, very easy to switch on the fly as the source requires. Here's a little video of showing you the different ways you can come in and out of different video wall modes. We start with individual TVs, now a full wall mode. This is a 3x6 video wall, so the aspect ratio is a little stretched when you go to full wall. So the integrator in this case is just going through different presets that they're creating in the control system to go into different modes. So the middle TVs and then the outer TVs. And you'll see on this one here, those outer TVs have this weird sort of aspect ratio stretch on them. But actually the integrator took advantage of that and they created content, to specific to that. So again, just examples of how within a 3x6 video wall, we can go into all different types of modes instantaneously on the fly. And you'll see the finished product here, those outer TVs, they created content to take advantage of that weird, odd aspect ratio to make it look normal and make sense. Another reason we use this example is because it's at a stadium, it's at the Cincinnati Reds ballpark. So obviously that's kind of cool, big install like that. But the other thing that's interesting about this is the integrator used video walls to wrap the columns that are holding the stadium up. So rather than those columns sort of getting in the way and becoming an eyesore, the integrator wrapped them with a video wall, and then we treat those corners like a bezel. I mean, like a gap. So we're kind of, the video is running behind the corner, so we can kind of go around that corner when you're doing that. So rather, again, than these those columns getting in the way, this beautiful view that looks out over the water and this big glass enclosure and all that, now they can put the ball game on there when there's a game playing, or they can put digital signage or player stats or whatever they want to do and make it interesting and make it cool and something fun with it. So here's the finished product there. You can kind of see how it turned out. The other beautiful thing about this particular project is that we went from just that power was originally only spec'd into this little restaurant area, but the facilities manager liked the way it worked so well that they actually expanded it to the entire stadium. So it's a nice example of how the system can grow to virtually any size. So in this particular case, there are multiple video walls scattered throughout the stadium at multiple bar and restaurant locations. The concourse, the owner suite, the luxury suite, even the little boxes on that far right image, those little TVs out, on the balcony outside areas that have just that power receivers behind them, so anything can go to those as well. So again, just another example of how the system can grow, based on the needs. Another nice example to show you some different video walls. This is a project right by the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, where again, there's a 2x2 surrounded by individual there on that video wall. And then on this next one, there's a 2x2 that's all one. And as they come around the corner and kind of walk around the ball, you'll see just different ways you can, treat video walls and go in and out of different video wall modes. So now when we go to the other side of the bar, it's that same configuration of TVs, but they've got it all in wall mode, that 3x3, so one big image. And then once he moves around the corner here, once again, there's another video wall on the back, the very back wall, that again is in that sort of 2x2 surrounded by individual TVs as well. So just more examples of how you can create different video walls based on the need and come in and out of those different modes. So maybe when the Super Bowl is on, all 9 of those TVs show the Super Bowl, but otherwise we can have, 5 different or 6 different individual games playing. So that's basic video walls. The next video wall type is what we call mosaic video walls. And mosaic video walls are where we turn the displays in 90-degree increments. So when we can rotate in 90-degree sections. Some of our competitors can also rotate, some of them can't, but we can do it in 90-degree increments. So you can go vertical, horizontal, flip upside down, whatever you need to do. So the picture I have showing there, this is from a brewery, and those different TVs, they've got a couple of them that they use for vertical, more digital signage type things. We can certainly do that, but they can come in and out of different modes. So when they want to show digital signage like we're showing there, then those vertical TVs take care of that. When they want to show one image, on all the TVs, and have it as if you're looking through a window that's sort of chopped into different vertical and horizontal aspects, we can do that as well. So here's a nice video showing that capability. And you can see here, there's pretty large gaps between the bezels, but the integrator was able to, measure and make those so we can compensate for all that. So how do you do that? Well, first of all, there's 2 different ways to treat that information. So the first one is where we keep the same aspect ratio and put it on the video wall so that maybe stuff is getting cut off at the top and the bottom because it's not exactly a 16:9. Sorry. And the other way we can treat it on the fly again, as the needs change, would be to squeeze that information into whatever is there. So obviously the closer that the video wall is to a 16:9, overall dimension, the more natural that's going to look. But we can come in and out of those different modes on the fly as well. And so how do you measure for these and kind of how do you set it up? There's really a few different measurements we need to do this. The first one would be the overall sort of, if this were one big rectangular window, that's our canvas. So we need the overall canvas width, the overall canvas height, and then from there we need to measure each individual display. So we need the width, the height, and width of the video, excuse me, as well as how they're offset from the top and the left. So kind of imagine like this. So here's our overall canvas, the purple and the green lines on the right there. So we need that, first of all. Once we have that dimension, we jot that down somewhere. Then go and measure each individual TV, the viewable height. Don't worry about the bezels or anything like that, because that's automatically kind of get compensated for. And then go in and measure how far in we go from the left and from the top to that viewable edge area. So once we have those, the last thing we need is, do we want to rotate or not? If we do, how do we want to rotate? Do we want to do 90, 180, 270, whatever we want to do. So once we have those, that information, it's one discrete command that goes to the system and puts it in that mode. So from a control system, it's a single command, a single push of a button, and now we go into that Mosaic, whatever that Mosaic layout is going to be. So very easy to do, very easy to control, and these are built in the drivers as well. I'll show you the drivers a little bit later. You can also test this. We do have a web interface. This is kind of an example of what our web interface looks like, where you can go in and look at, as you're making these adjustments and changes and you're putting in your measurements, you can look at that on the fly by going into our web interface and entering those and sending it to the receiver or receivers that way as well, to kind of dial it in, get it right, and then once you have it, then send that as a one string command to your control system, or from your control system. The last part of walls would be what we call warped walls. So warped are where we can kind of go at any angle based in 0.1 degree increments. So instead of just doing 90 degree sections, we have a new transmitter. This just came out earlier this year. We call it the warp engine for good reason. We feel like we can kind of warp the wall and make it whatever. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's got lithium crystals in it. It's kind of a cool little factoid. We do some fun stuff here, just have power. But anyway, it's basically a transceiver. So it's got both a receiver port on it. The receiver port is so that I can take any source, cable box, Blu-ray, whatever, on the fly, whatever source we want to, bring that into the warp engine, tilt it at whatever angle we wanted to tilt it at in 0.1 degree increments again, so 3,600 degrees of rotation, and then the transmitter port is spitting that back out at that rotated angle. So any source rotated to any degree practically. We can also zoom in and out. So if I want to, maybe I want to take a 16 by 9 and put it in the middle of that wall that's warped, I can have a preset that gives me a full 16 by 9 on the fly, and then when I want to do more of like a digital signage or maybe something just kind of more fun, then I come back out and we stretch and we go on the wall. So again, same thing with that. So first of all, we need to know what that angle is that we're going to be rotated at. So again, kind of just imagine the wall not rotated, and that's our top edge and our left edge and our measurements, just like we would normally do in Mosaic. And once we have that information, put that in, and then tell this what to rotate the video back to get it squared up, to get it flat. So a couple examples of that. These are two patterns that we call, the one on the right is what we call a pinwheel pattern, the one that has the 4 displays kind of in the pinwheel area. And the one on the left is what we call a brick pattern. And basically the way that is there's 2 horizontal panels and 2 vertical panels, and all of them are tilted about 15 degrees or so. Interior to decorator or whatever it is, now they can really go crazy and do some fun, cool things with video walls and not just be stuck in these square Mosaic kind of things. And with the price of flat screens and panels like this coming down, excuse me, and bezels getting thinner and thinner, it's not, you don't have to spend tens and thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars to do something like this. But get something cool, get something interesting, get something eye-catching when you walk into a lobby or a bar or a restaurant or a club or a nice luxury home that they just want to kind of do something cool and interesting that way as well. So a couple examples. Actually, this particular example is one of the first ones that went in, and it's from an integrator in Southern California. So cheers to the Southern California crew. There they had 2 video walls in this particular space, and obviously it's more of a commercial space. The one on the right is what we call a herringbone pattern. I'll show you some examples of that in a second as well. And of course, the one on the left is standard 2x2 video wall. So practical, there's one there. Another example of that here, this is at our office actually, and then a close-up of that one. So again, we're tilting those TVs at one angle, but we've tilted the video back the other way, so it's nice and flat and level. So very easy and cool to do that. And so again, there's that other couple of examples there. Again, this is also at our lobby of our office. So some live motion video, so you can kind of see how that looks there as well. So getting something interesting, getting something cool, getting something different than just a boring old fish tank or something of that nature. It could be a fish tank, and then it could be a movie, and then it could be the weather, it could be something, whatever, a fireplace, all dynamic on the fly. More examples of this as well. Another brick pattern. If you can get creative enough and figure out how to do the wiring so that you can spin a TV, we can spin the warp engine on the fly based on commands from the control system to make that video level. So get really creative, do something cool stuff. So that'd be an example there. Another example that's kind of off the wall, but cool again, is creating a star pattern. So maybe you got a Cowboys fan or something like that, or America, whatever. We could use the warp engine, overlay panels on top of each other at these different angles, and then use the warp engine to correct for that video. So in this particular case we're showing here, there's 5 different angles for that star. So we would need 5 warp engines to do this. But again, get creative, do circles, do stars, do whatever, and we can accommodate for it with the Warp Engine. So cool stuff. So when we're doing video walls, there's a couple different ways we can wire that. Normally you would have a wire to every display device, so every TV gets one of our receivers, but you may run into situations where that's just not possible. Maybe the space was already pre-wired, you're kind of coming back in afterwards. So if there's one Cat5 connection going to a wall location, let's say, and you want to create a video wall out of that, we can use our daisy chain receiver to do that. And so how does that work? Well, the daisy chain receiver has two network ports on it. One's an input and one's an output with PoE. So we can take one PoE output from, let's say, a Luxel switch, go to one of those receivers, daisy chain from that receiver to the next, to the next, to the next. We can actually do up to 4 of them from one PoE output on a Luxel switch and give you a 2x2 video wall from one category cable. Now, if I wanted to do a 3x3 or 4x6 or whatever by whatever, all I need to do is locally power those additional receivers. So all of our receivers do have the ability to either do PoE or local power supply. They have a local power input. You can take almost any wall power supply and plug them in, and now I can create whatever size video wall I want based on powering those up from PoE and or from their internal power. So if we're doing VLAN switching, it would look like this. There'd be one image stretched across all 4 of those TVs. This is one area where multicast switching actually gives us a slight advantage. So in multicast world, I can take one Cat5 and send multiple video streams down that Cat5. So I can send up to 4 video streams at 4K, not full 4K, 444 HDR and all that, but still 4K content. And so I can take, instead of having video wall like this, where it's one image on all 4 TVs, on the fly I can go from that sort of application to individual TVs by using multicast switching. So again, depending on how you're set up and how it's pre-wired, you do have some different options to do different things. But with multicast, I do max out at 4 streams, so just keep that in mind as well. So the opposite of that is what we call video tiling. We support that as well. In order to do that, we have our video tiler. It's the 759A, award-winning, all kinds of fun stuff. Basically, it's sort of the reverse of a video wall. If I've got a nice big, 70, 80, 100-inch, whatever display, and I want to cut that into 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 15, however many tiles you want, you can do the tiler to do that. So each tiler gives me 4 tiles. So one tiler, basically what it does, it takes any 4 sources, combines those together, and rebroadcasts those. So that goes to every TV in the house or the building or whatever it is. So the tiler isn't just limited to one location. Any and all TVs can pick up the tiled image. So the default layouts are like this: 3 on the bottom and 1 on the top, or a quad view, or 3 on the right-hand side and 1 kind of shifted to the left. But the cool thing about the tiler is you can customize it and go to any kind of layout that you want. So we can overlay. It doesn't have to be 4 tiles. We can do 1 tile, 2 tiles, 3 tiles, whatever. We can also set transparency, and we can overlay those wherever we want to on the screen. We can also rotate those on the screen. So some cool kind of examples that we see in the real world would be taking digital a TV and rotating it vertically and cutting it into 3 16:9 tiles. So if you go to something like a Top Golf, they're doing something like this as well. So we can certainly do that with a tiler. Or maybe I want to do 3 tiles on the bottom, 1 on the top, but I don't want to stretch that. I want to keep the maintain the aspect ratio. That would be another preset from a control system. Another would be tickers. So whether it's something like this and maybe more of a residential world where I've got somebody that wants to watch a news ticker and a sports ticker and a weather ticker, I can crop those from any 3 sources, put those on the bottom of the screen, and then watch a 4th image, squeezed above that. So that's nice in a residential world. In a commercial world, I can take and do 3 tiles and do some digital signage. So an example of that would be a ticker across the bottom of the screen and another ticker along the left-hand side or the right-hand side, doesn't matter. And then my 3rd tile is still a 16:9 image on that screen. So now we can get ROI on the tiler in a commercial application. So maybe that bottom ticker is showing specials and, come visit us for Friday night specials or whatever. And the vertical one is showing a menu board or some kind of, something like that. Again, ROI with a tiler, very easy to do by creating presets. And you can come in and out of these modes on the fly. Another one is, overlaying tiles on top of each other. Not real practical there, but one that's really practical is just a simple picture-in-picture. So a picture-in-picture could be a preset that's automatically called up by the control system. So let's say it's late at night, I'm in the bedroom and I'm watching TV and there's motion at my front door. I can use that motion trigger from the control system to pop up that front door camera feed from my NVR and overlay that. So I don't have to switch sources. I don't have to go check my phone. I don't do anything like that. It automatically pops up for 60 seconds or whatever, and then goes back away, all with a tiler. So, and again, since the tiler is available to every TV, it can happen in the bedroom, the living room, whatever TV is on at that moment, they get a picture-in-picture pop-up of that camera feed. Or if you've got that customer that always likes to watch their camera feed, maybe they typically have their iPad in their lap and they're watching TV. Now I can put that video feed on TV so they can do both at the same time in a nice seamless way. We can also tile within a tile. So in this case, what you're seeing on the left-hand side is 2 tilers. So each additional tiler gives me 3 more tiles. So in this case, we've got 2 tilers, so I've got 7 tiles. So you can tile within a tile and keep kind of going down the rabbit hole and add as many as you want. So we've seen that particularly in bars, restaurants, things like that, where we've got these large screens and we want to show multiple things on them. A project that we did about a year or so ago was where we had an 8-foot high by 20-foot wide LED, TV, LED wall basically, one TV essentially, that we put 5 tilers on it. So it was a sports bar, so they could either watch anywhere from 1 to 16 ball games at a time. And since there was an 8-foot high by 20-foot wide screen, even with 16 different games going, there's still large, images for that. So go crazy with the tilers, tile within a tile, and add more to the system. As far as control goes, we do have drivers, of course, for all the major third-party control systems for both tiler and video wall functions. Whenever we're doing tiling or video wall, we need to be able to, the control system needs to be able to talk directly to our devices. So how do you do that? Typically, when we do VLAN switching, we're on a different network scheme as the rest of the devices, including the control system. So how we do that is basically set up a static route in the router. That information we give to you when you run our software, the static route information. So basically, you just go into the router, add a static route. Now the control system can see the just add power devices and tell them to go in and out of different video wall modes, different tiling modes, different flipping, identifying screens. So here's some examples from like the RTI interface. Identify all the screens at setup. If you want to put a number on all the TVs to kind of figure out which one's which when you're doing all this, you can do that. You can set the rotations. You can set the different wall modes. You can also mirror the TVs. So we can do all kinds of fun, cool stuff with our products to do that. And of course, we have control port drivers with all the same type of functionality. When you go to the custom programming tab, you see a whole list of different things. You can even send your own discrete commands that you're going to create when you have those different dimensions and that kind of thing. So very easy to do from a control system standpoint. Last thing, support. You can go to our website, our support site, and go to support.justhavepower.com. Type in video wall, and you'll come up, and it'll pop up all kinds of different information on that. So it could be, we've got different manuals set up for video wall, tiling transmitters. We have YouTube videos, we have examples, we have example files, all that kind of stuff on our support site. So please, please, please go there, browse around, get familiar, or call our support team as well. We're happy to help you. Also have comparison charts if you want to see how we compare with other, other devices out there in our product category. We can send you those. If you want to demonstrate our products for yourself or an end user, or you just kind of want to see how they integrate with control systems or anything like that, we do have demo kits that we will loan you for free. They come in an anvil case. We'll ship it right to you. 2 transmitters, 2 receivers, 2 4K sources, and all the Luxol network gear you to set it up. So go crazy with it, play around with it, test it, do whatever you want to do with it, and then once you're done, send it back, and we'll get it taken care of. If you want demo product to keep for your own personal use or showroom use, we do have a showroom program for that where we'll give you 30% off on that. That is for personal use, so please, no resale. But basically, it's like any other manufacturer. We want to get the product in your hands for you to try it, for you to get used to it, for you to get comfortable with it, so that you can sell it and be, and be efficient at it. And the last part of that is what we call a case study program. So if you have any projects out there that you want to get extra eyes on, we will run it through our PR firm and get you publication, into Commercial Integrator and CE Pro and all those kind of things. We'll also send you 4 transmitters or receivers as sort of a thank you for doing that with us. And we've got all kinds of different examples out there for you. Actually, this is Montecito Country Club right here. So this is, if you're in California, this is relatively local to you, maybe. So we've got country club examples, residential applications, hospitality, restaurants, bars, casinos, university spaces. So we're always looking for different types of case studies. So if you've got something, work well done, get some kudos for it. get your name out there in the lights and all that kind of thing. We'll help you with that. And it's totally free. We just need some basic information. There's a form you fill out to do that, and we'll get you going with that. So lots of different examples out there of our products. LA Times Building, if you're in LA, has it as well. If you want to share projects with us through social media, we're welcome to do that as well. And then as far as the actual support team goes, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern. So just keep that in mind. I know a lot of West Coast and Midwest and that kind of thing. So 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern, noon to 8 p.m. Spanish speaking as well. So please don't hesitate to reach out to them. They're awesome. You'll love them. They're really good. As far as actual warranty, 5 years on everything. Advanced replacement to the job site if it needs to go there. Overnight shipping if you request that for no additional fee. Pre-programmed, plug and play ready. So if we have a problem with our products, you're going to get a replacement almost immediately. So all you got to do is verify the problem with our support team, give them the MAC address and the firmware version of the unit, and we will send it out. I'm sorry, not the MAC address, the IP address and the firmware version of the unit, and we'll get it pre-programmed. It'll show up on the doorstep with a prepaid shipping label. So if you've got a savvy enough end user, you can maybe FaceTime them or whatever and have them go pull the defective unit out, plug the new one in, they're back up and running, put the defective unit in the box, put the return label on it, and they're good to go. Last thing, as far as training goes, we do offer hands-on training in Florida at our headquarters, so please sign up for that if you're interested in it. The way it works is once you get to the Tampa airport, so you pay for your airfare, we pay for everything else. So we'll provide your ground transportation, your meals during the training, your hotel. We'll pay for the hotel even through the weekend if you'll stay through the weekend. But the way it works is you come in on a Wednesday afternoon, we have dinner Wednesday night, training is all day Thursday, a half a day Friday, we can take out to lunch on Friday, we pay for dinner Wednesday night, all day Thursday meals, and meals up to lunch on Friday. And then after lunch, you can either go home, we'll take you back to the airport, or if you want to stay through the weekend, we'll put you up at the hotel through the weekend. And by the way, the hotel is 2 blocks from the beach, so it's kind of a nice way to get away and get some, some of the most beautiful beaches in the world in the Tampa area. Also, you can hit Disney, go golfing, deep sea fishing, whatever you want to do. Lots and lots of fun stuff. Or just relax. You're welcome to do that. So totally free. Just get to Tampa. We take care of the rest. We are, thankfully, going to start back up here in the next couple of weeks. In our June training, we had to cancel the last 3 months of it. But there's a waiting list, so please get signed up for it. We take 16 people at a time. When you go to register, you get to pick your preferred 3 dates, and whichever one is first come, first serve. But if you want it, please, by all means, you'll not only learn about our products, but you'll learn a lot about networking in general and that kind of thing. So it's a beautiful thing. That's all I have. So with that, Gary.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
The products have so many possibilities. It's great. So with the panelists that we've got, or the participants, guys, Sean, Syed, Murali, Carl, Jose, Brian, Alex, let's ask some questions. I'm really curious where in Just Add Power are you? Is this introductory for you? Now's the time to ask the questions that you don't want to even go down the path of some kind of complicated thing, but we're here. I'm really curious. Do you have some examples for us to hear? Or where do you guys need additional training? Brian and I can always set something up. Like this is a very custom class for the Snap AV distributors here. So feel free, anything, and hit your Q&A. I can unmute you if need be, but if that was it, and we don't have any questions, Brian, I don't see anything right now, but it was a great presentation and everybody's still queued in. So quite amazing. I like the new, the Tyler that can go farther than the 90 degree. It was called the, what was the Star Trek acronym you used?
Warp engine.
Yeah.
The warp engine.
So that's this year. Very cool, because that's part of the Mosaic part.
Yep.
Again, with design, it's all in your guys' hands, and it's so cool to see, Brian and his company really kind of follow your lead into design mode, right? So Brian had a question. Is there development from QSC for VLAN switching?
Not at the moment. We did come out with the QSC driver, about maybe a year and a half or so ago, and it was set up for multicast switching. So at the moment, no, but that is something we're always keeping an eye on as demand requires and that kind of thing. But I think that was more driven by the driver developer in that case. So they were just more comfortable with doing multicast setup. So, but as we see it used, as we see it downloaded, as we see people trying to do things, then we'll certainly take a look at that. So.
Right on. Brian was saying, Brian Barron was saying that he had used it, Just Add Power with a project written up by Just Add Power. So you might already be familiar with some of his jobs. Syed said, thank you, great info. You know, he's just trying to learn what's available and you know, when there's the need and when there's availability. And you're right, Syed, it's something that you guys got to have in your back pocket, but man, Just Add Power is not only just covering design mode and how big you can get. No, he's talking about, you know, ROI and that's in everybody's field of view right now. I mean, it's so easy to put a tiler or a streamer across the bottom and start making some revenue from that. Again, those revenue making ideas are all put into your, you know, knapsack, for instance. So let's field some more questions if we can. Other than that, very quick, there was a lot in there. So I urge you guys at 4 o'clock today, West Coast, I will send you guys this email with not only the recording, but Brian's presentation as well. So thank you guys so much. We'll hold it open for a quick second. Brian, great presentation. You guys are, how's Florida doing? Kind of opening back up a little bit? I hear a little bit more progressively than the rest of the country.
Yep, phase 2 officially starts today, where they're doing bars and restaurants. Bars, first of all, opening at the bar, restaurants 50% capacity. So there's bowling alleys, things like that are at 50%. So they're opening stuff up that wasn't open until starting today. So it was at 25% before. It's starting to pick up.
The amusement parks, like is Disney, or I thought I saw that Universal Florida was open running today. Yeah.
Some of them, I think some of them are starting July 11th, I want to say, and then depending on the park, you know, there. But yeah, they're definitely starting relatively soon here. Yeah. So
well,
that'll be good.
It's a good example.
Like a smaller,
you know, we're all getting ready for, especially the commercial side of things, to be open. So I mean, we still have this window of, you know, the ability to kind of tweak things or get stuff, you know, in the design mode, get it to you. Have you guys seen an uptick on guys getting ready for the eventual mid-June openings?
We've definitely seen an uptick in sell-through, and especially this past month. So yeah, we're starting to see. We obviously went down in March, April, but in May it kind of picking back up again, which is a beautiful thing. So yeah,
got it.
So I think guys are getting ready. Yeah.
All right. Jose's saying, hey, great tech support, guys. Thank you guys so much. Again, thank you for your participation. If that's it, let's conclude it. Let's get this stuff wrapped up. I'm going to render the video and get this stuff ready for you guys for later this afternoon. It is what it is. It is in your court. Brian and his company are there for your support, and so is Volutone, MRI, AllNet, and Custom Plus, here for you guys, here to support the commercial dealer and just about anything else you can think of. So with that, Brian, thank you so much, man. Taking your Friday, great presentation. You guys also hit me back later on after the 4 o'clock email if there's something that you want to get specific on. Brian and I will tailor another webinar for you guys. No problem at all. We're here for you. You're going to continue to events like this on my event section, on my event page. So sign up, register. Even if you can't make the actual webinar, register, and I'll make sure you get all this data at the end of the day. All I need is just the fact that you've signed up and you want the info. So that's it. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Be safe out there. We're all planning on a massive attack when we get open again. And Brian and Just Add Power, can't thank you enough. Let's talk again soon. You guys be safe out there. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Jared. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.